Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the AIM 2015 SEO Intensity Session, a live on-stage SEO audit featuring Greystar Manager of Digital Marketing, Andrew Halverson, and Property Solutions Director of SEO and SEM, Veronica Romney.
Okay, hey, whoa, hey, how are you guys? Okay, so we actually, instead of an hour, we have 2 hours. Steve, unfortunately, his flight got delayed and he will not be joining us. So we're really prepared to geek out if you are, because that's what I'm planning on doing. And can I just say, before I officially get started, when like the jitters are going, your heart's pounding in your chest and you feel like you're gonna black out, which is totally not happening to me right now at all, but I'm just saying, I understand if that happens to some people. I'm super excited to be in a room with a whole bunch of marketers because you're my people and you'll get what I'm saying, so I'm really excited. Let me introduce myself. I'm Veronica Romney. I am the Director of SEO at Property Solutions, and joining me on the stage is not only an SEO expert himself, who has taught me more in the last 24 hours than I can tell you.
Yeah, we've been doing a few things.
But he's also a really good friend. So let me introduce Mr. Andrew Halverson, Digital Marketing Manager at Greystar.
Hi, everybody.
So the two of us are extremely excited. We're going to take a real live website, like it is live, it's not a test, take it through a proper edit and audit from start to finish, on page all the way to reviews and social media. And so in the process, we are going to geek out. So I want to kind of open it up. This is a lab. The internet is a little spotty. So if you're on your laptop or your iPad, or you just have traditional piece of paper and pen, jot down or bookmark some of the tabs that I will be going through, because then you will have the same resources. My goal basically for the next hour and change is to have you guys leave with the confidence to do an audit for your properties from start to finish. That's the attempt. And to do so with free products. Everything that I will show you, you don't have to have a subscription to, it's nothing that's paid, and you can do it on your own and do it for your property. So that is the 2 goals for today. And then of course, we'll open it up for some Q&A at the end. So if you want to open up your laptops, iPads, now is the time to do it. Okay, so some housekeeping. First off, I'm going to have Andrew kind of open us up and explain to you why a tiny little company like Greystar, why they've put a ton of importance on doing an audit for their properties as part of their process. Give a little context as to the property in which we are actually doing the audit for. Then we're going to do a 6-phase property audit, so it'll be 6 parts to it, starting, like I said, from on page all the way to social media to reviews. We'll then show you some real data, why it's important to do this, what we've seen at Property Solutions as far as the results from actually cleaning up some of the things we've found. And then, considering Greystar's size, Andrew's going to explain to you how you can realistically scale this in-house, right?
Yep.
Or just find a process for yourselves that you can do it. And like I said, I'm going to assume that if you're sitting here, besides being an SEO nerd like me, and the 2 of us, that you might have come across some issues along the way that you've wanted to pull your hair out, right? When you're doing a Google Plus and you try to claim it, and it says someone else has verified your listing, and you want to scream and curse and curse the heavens. So I'm going to assume that you might have some of those. So the attempt is to leave a good portion of a Q&A that you can ask us, and we can try to help you, if not in this presentation, but of course afterwards as well. Okay, you ready?
Yes, I am.
I'm so excited. Okay. So, being the eloquent person that Andrew is, let me just read to you a quote. Quote, "At Greystar, we aren't just striving to be one of the best digital marketers in the multifamily industry, but one of the top digital marketers in the advertising field. Through continuous improvement, we have a track record of generating increased value for our clients and our residents." So, talk to me.
Okay. So talking a little bit about why we think it's so important to be looking at your websites all the time, auditing your websites, making sure that you have best practices in place across the board. Some of the reasonings behind it are, one of the most important things is stuff changes constantly. Like literally the two of us yesterday were talking about, she was saying things and we're like, when did that happen? It was like, it was about 3 days ago.
Yes.
Stuff changes constantly. So it's important to look at what you've done and never think that a website is a set it and forget it, ever. It never is. It should always be evolving, always be changing. The other thing is, in an organization like Greystar, we have so many different properties that are coming in and out of our organization through transitions, through acquisitions, through different merger things. And so you'll inherit websites sometimes, and you need to take a look at that website, and you need to be able to not say, well, we think you should have a new website. You should be able to say, this is what we looked at and what we found. These are the things that we think you can gain from doing this. And so it's really important to be able to understand what's going on and provide some real metrics-based justification for some of the recommendations you might be making, whether it's a new property that's come into your portfolio, something you've acquired, or whether it's just something that's been, it's been a little while since you've made any changes and you want to refresh your content and do something a little bit different.
Yeah, so I grew up playing Monopoly. And then I entered multifamily. Now I'm living Monopoly. So can I have your Park Place and you can take my boardwalk? I mean, it's insane. It really is. Of course, at Property Solutions, we handle over 1,000 websites on our SEO program. And when we get them, at that point, it's not uncommon that they've worked with 2 or 3 different vendors, and you just see what's been done, what's been left behind, and yeah. So we'll do that right now. So why don't you introduce the property that you're allowing me
to do an audit
on.
So we're going to do an audit on a property called Outlook Golden Ridge. So we're kind of cheating a little bit. This is actually a website that is brand new. It's a property that isn't even out of the ground yet, but a lot of the things that we're going to look at and a lot of the things that we're going to see are going to very closely, if not completely, mirror what you would see in a website that maybe had a couple of things that were missed, something that you needed to do. Yep. This website, it just happens to be brand new, so we're right now in the process of doing all of the items that we're going to talk about.
Yep.
But it gives you a really good example. It's pretty much the same thing as what you would see if it was a website that just had a little bit of work that you needed to do to it, a few things that you could fix up.
Perfect. Okay, so cheating, but we're not going to hurt anybody's feelings is what I'm saying. So. Well,
the other thing about it too, though, is it's not a bad idea to do an audit the minute you get a website. That's true. If it is a new property, because it really gives you you can sit down with your audit and everything that you've looked at, and you have a really good path. You have like some direction for what you should be focusing on too. So maybe not cheating, maybe it's just another opportunity.
Yes, you're such an optimist. Okay. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna start with the casa, or the home. That's a Cuban in me. Okay, so on Page SEO, you might have heard of it, maybe you've heard it in other ways, but basically it's your website. This is your home of your property. And in Google's opinion, you should, theoretically, have 100% control over the content, over the website itself. Like you're in the driver's seat. Things aren't acting upon you. You're, basically publishing something on the web that people can see and be a resource for. So it's pretty critical here that there's definitely certain things that you can't skimp on, and also you will get pretty badly penalized if you try to cheat the system and think that Google doesn't find it. So we'll get into that. So first things first, before we jump right into the audit, these are some of the quick things that we're going to want to check for. So first off, how many of you have heard of the whole mobile Armageddon thing, or Mobilegeddon? Anybody hear about this? Anybody didn't hear about it? No, okay. So April 21st of last month, Google kind of laid down the hammer and basically said, this is the date that if your website is no longer mobile friendly, we will drop you from mobile search results, which is pretty, in my opinion, pretty dramatic. I know Google makes more adjustments than days in the year, but I think that one was really significant.
The thing that struck me about it, it was the only time I've ever heard that this is a change that will affect every search query in every language in every country in the entire world.
Yep. That's
big.
Yeah, it is big, because most of the time when Google's releasing a test, they do it in the US, they do it for 45 days. So this one was like a global reach. And 2014 was the first year where mobile searches basically surpassed desktop, which we've heard before. So this was a big deal. And we already had seen changes with paid search. In paid search, you could segment mobile devices from the desktop, but that was already changed too, that you couldn't do that. Now ads were shown to each device no matter what. So we'll check the site if it's mobile friendly, make sure that it passes the level of speed that it needs to be. It's crawlable. We have the flags that we know Google's going to be indexing for. Keyword research, I'll show you a little bit of how we do it and the free stuff. Local content, we'll go through that, Google products and schema. So I'm gonna start driving.
Okay.
Ready? Okay, so who can shout out to me how you do a Google search? Now this is my son. He's having his moment right now. Okay. How do you do a non-biased Google search?
That means not looking at any of the history, not looking
I
at
heard
any
it.
of your...
Incognito. So if I just launched Google Chrome, everybody can see it, yes? Okay, I'm in Google Chrome. If you go to the right, it's like a little burger menu. That's what it looks like to me, right? So I click on the burger menu, and third down is the new incognito window. Incognito, basically, and it's still not 100% biased, or unbiased, I should say. It still has some. But for the most part, if you want to see what a search result looks like that is not affected by your cookies, your search experience in the past, right? Because if you've looked at your website 500 times, guess what? Your website's going to come up first. And that's not really realistic of somebody that's never seen your site before. So if you do a search, do it here, because Google knows everything about you. And that's not creepy. So Outlook, Golden Ridge. Type it in. Okay. Can I ask you what you see first?
The first thing that we see is apartment guide.
Is that a good thing?
For apartment guide, there you go. No, we want our website to show up first. If we're doing proper SEO, we should be #1 in the search ranking, especially when we are searching our own property's name.
Yeah, so that's 100%, like that's the first thing that I noticed when I was doing this audit was why is the actual domain name not coming up first when I did an exact search? That instantaneously, that should send off flags to you that something's wrong. Also, it doesn't connect with any kind of pin on the map, which of course we know apartments have physical locations, so there should be an indication of some locality to it. But I do see, okay, so apartment guide, which in Google's opinion is more authoritative than the actual domain, even though that's their exact URL. The Facebook, rent.com, let's go down the list. I see a Twitter, and so forth, right? So, and local Yahoo. So if I go back up, let's pull up the website right now. Let's see if I can do this better. Okay. So first things first, if I have internet.
Isn't it going?
But guess what?
First things first, get the internet working.
I'm a professional. I'm a professional and I have all the tabs open already.
We came prepared.
Oh, yay. Okay, so let me pull up the actual website. So this is the website. I'd pull it up. First thing that I notice is, clearly it's an attractive website. It is different. It is not, it's a little bit more modern than what we see. I'm going to check if it's responsive. Let me go here. Oh, okay, well, let me go. It is responsive, but has anybody heard of Google Page Speed Insights before? Has anybody used it? One hand. How about the mobile test by Google? So everybody's used
both
the mobile
of those rows
test.
right there.
So everybody's used the mobile test. Okay, so the first thing I do, assuming that I don't have access to the back end of the website and to kind of take a look at what Google sees, is I always do Google Page Speed Insight. So that's the first tool that I'm going to have you write down is Google Page Speed Insight. So it's going to look like this, where basically you pop in the URL, you basically click on Analyze. It will do it in a minute or less, so it's actually really fast. And then it will tell you what it thinks on both a mobile device and a desktop, which is really nice. So mobile-wise, speed-wise, I'm going to tell you right now, if you stress about not having a perfect score, do not. Just like bounce rates in Google Analytics, you will have bounce rates, right? If you have a 50% bounce rate, not a big deal. If you have an 85% bounce rate, we have a problem, right? Same thing here. The fact that it's over 50% is not a bad sign, okay? I've worked in, obviously, Prospect Portal. I've worked in WordPress, Magento, Volusion. The list goes on of platforms I've worked in. Nobody gets 100%. I will say that, so take the pressure off there. But the speed actually is not too shabby. And then if I go down where it really counts, what does that say?
User experience is
Near-
99 out of 100.
Near perfection. And that's really where it comes down to, is Google's going to want to make sure that the users are getting a really nice experience on the mobile device depending on the size that they're on. So that's a good thing. If this website was not mobile friendly, it would have told me already. It would have actually sent me a link to the mobile test where it would tell me the reasons, the very specific reasons why it wasn't mobile. True or false? Do you have to have a responsive website to get credit with Google?
It's a trick question, because no, but you should anyway.
Yes.
Because it's better.
Yes, yeah, correct. You don't have, your website does not have to be responsive to get credit as a mobile site. It can be m.outlook.goldenridge.com and get credit. But Google has told, basically in their Webmaster Tools blog, that they do prefer responsive design because the content stays the same from the desktop to the mobile. For them, they prefer that. So that is why it's their preference, but doesn't mean that you won't get credit.
Yep.
Okay, so I think I did, so I did the mobile test right here. Awesome, this page is mobile friendly and it shows me what it looks like on the mobile device. So even if I didn't have Google Webmaster Tools, I can see if Google likes me or not. So let's go back.
Having Google like you is all that matters. If you want to show up in search results.
And
Make Google happy.
Scratch Google's back.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm looking at the website. There's the phone number, that's good. I'm going down the page. Okay, a little bit of content. I can tell that this is either a little bit of romance copy or just placeholder copy. Is that the case?
Yeah, it was some language that we were working with the operations teams and the client, and it was the copy that they want, it's the voice that they want.
Okay.
And it is before we've gone in and then taken that voice, kept it the same, sounding the same, and then done the SEO optimization to that copy.
Yeah, because that's what I noticed. Brand new apartments, plural, but this only represents one apartment, right, this website. A little bit of some romance copy right here. So I'm going to keep going down the page, gallery, availability. Okay, this is kind of where the money is. So first thing I'm looking for is NAP. What is NAP? Name, address, phone number. It is like your social security ID online. So just like how I have my own social security number, in life, for a local business, your NAP is everything to you. It has to be perfect. And wherever you place it online, it also has to be perfect. So, okay, the address is 544 Golden Ridge Road, spelled out in Golden, Colorado, 80401. That's right.
Absolutely.
It's a local number.
It is.
There's no tracking
No,
numbers.
it's not.
Yeah, 855.
Nope.
Okay.
That's not a local number.
Okay. What do you think about that?
I think that that's a complicated conversation because of tracking numbers on websites is kind of complicated.
Okay. Okay, what does Google prefer?
Google wants you to have the same phone number on absolutely everything. In a perfect world, every single place that a phone number exists tied to your property, it should be the exact same number and a local area code and possibly even a landline.
Yes, yeah.
So-
Google is that picky that they prefer a landline local number as opposed to a cell phone local number. So and I've had real estate agents before, they want to put their cell phone on there, but it's really competitive, and I always try to go back to the landline because it makes the business more legitimate, right?
And it's a little complicated for us in that space right there because everybody uses tracking numbers. Having a tracking number on your website is critical to the way that everybody looks at their lead traffic, looks at how their website is performing. So in our space, in our industry, Steve said it just in the beginning, that this is one of the complicated things that we're all trying to figure out the right answer to. Yeah. So it's not always going to be perfect with tracking numbers on websites. If you were doing exactly what Google told you, that would be a 312 area code, which is the Denver metro area.
Perfect.
Do you have a question?
Yeah.
What we've done in the past for some is put the local for residents and vendors and then a tracking number for prospects. Do you get penalized for having two phone numbers on there?
Nope, because even in Google Plus submissions, they can ask you for a fax, they can ask you for a second line. So that's what if you have to have a tracking number, make sure the local number's still in a text. So one of the things I checked for too, it needs to be text-based because Google cannot index an image, right? You can't see, if the number's in an image file, I can't tell what it is. So I definitely want to make sure this is text, and because I can go letter by letter, I know that it is. So just make sure that the local number is in a text element on the site so that it gets crawled by Google. Yep. I think we're going to do questions at the end, if that's okay. I just want to make sure we get through this.
We have actually quite a bit of time, so if you want to write down your questions so we make sure that we don't miss any of them, that would actually be really great, because
Yeah.
we do want to make sure that we're getting to all of the questions that
Yeah,
everyone
and I might
has.
cover it too in my presentation, so, okay. Oh, yeah, great
okay.
question. Good
That's
call.
different. That's different.
So she basically asked me what she's done in her organization is to appease both sides. She's done a tracking number and the local number on the website together, which I also recommend. Definitely having the local number, and if you want to have, let's say you had the tracking number at the top, and then down in the footer you had a text, that's the local number, that's okay too. So that's kind of how I get around it sometimes. So
the best workaround you
that
can
was
do.
her comment, and just a validation that she's doing a good job, which she is, right? Okay, so office hours, it says by appointment. This is something that Google does crawl for. So they will, I mean, if you look at your Google Plus accounts, it will tell you if a business is open or not. I will know if Costco's closing at 10 or 9 if I'm trying to get gas on a Saturday night. Like, it will tell me. So please also make sure that you're including your hours, even,
And
right?
this is also an interesting situation, because this property isn't out of the ground. We don't have a property manager. We don't have staff right now that are in place and actually have a space, don't have anything. So in this kind of a situation, you still want to make sure, because Google is looking for this. Literally, when I'm managing Google Business listings, they will send me a notice, and they're like, I just crawled this website for you, and this is the data, and you need to put this into your listing. Like, they're pushing for it. So even if you are only available by appointment, if it's a calling service right now because you don't have the staff on site to actually take care of it, you should still figure out a workaround, whether it's we're available by phone these hours, or we're available to have messages left with us to return you during these hours. You need to have some kind of office hours listed somewhere.
That's a good middle. Yeah, I like that a lot. And then lastly, I look at how is it linking externally, especially from a social media standpoint. So it's linking to Facebook, which is great, but if anybody remembers, when I did the search, what also came up? Twitter came up. So I know they have a Twitter account. It's not listed from the site. And of course, I'm not seeing my boyfriend, which is Google Plus, so that's a miss. And then of course, I definitely recommend like the big three, kind of just you have to minimums is Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus. You can't really avoid those. But then of course, Yelp is a big one that I definitely recommend that you guys be linking to, and then anything else that you think would be pertinent. But it's going to be unique for each property. But those are the 4 that I definitely push for. Okay, so let's go back to the copy. So one of the things I do check for, because it will kind of issue a big penalty, is if you are stealing copy, which is the penalty is called duplicate content. And sometimes in this industry, we do it by accident. And what I mean by that is if you take this, let's say you take this same paragraph and you push it to everything online. The problem is if Google crawls something else first and gives the credit to,
Facebook, let's say.
Facebook or rent.com, and it gives the credit to that person as the originator of the copy, you are the plagiarizer. So I don't know if you guys know that. So even though you personally wrote it, if Google finds it on somebody else's site before it finds it on your site, you can get a penalty for that.
Yep. Google thinks wherever you put it first, wherever it finds it first, they assume that is the original location of the content.
Yep.
That is the first place that it's been out there. That is the person who created the content.
Yep. So another tool that I want you to write down is Copyscape. Has anybody used Copyscape? So that's it's really easy, I think. Copyscape, basically you just plug in the URL and it will crawl the web to see if it comes up in different locations, and it does, right? So PlaceB, rentals.com, rentbits.com comes up with it. The only issue with Copyscape is that it is a little bit dated. It's a little bit stale. It's usually like 90 days ago-ish. So what I do is I'll go back to the site and I'll actually take a direct quote like this, copy it. I think I did it. No. Well, let's see if I have the internet. Please have the internet. Let's see if it will do it. Launch again. Okay.
Right.
So
Rolling.
so I go back to the site basically, and I take a piece of snippet of copy, and I go into Google and I do exact quotes. So put a quote, do the line, close it out.
Yep. Quotation marks right in the actual search box around it.
Yeah, so let's see, hold on. I just pulled it up. Okay, so Craigslist comes up, Rent Jungle, Rent.com, WalkScore.com, Apartment Guide. If I click on take out the omitted, Craigslist comes up 3 times, 4 times, and there you are right there. So what does that tell me? If you weren't the first person to come up for the quote, you are not the originator of the content. Does that make sense?
In Google's eyes.
In Google's eyes.
It didn't come from you first.
Yep. And chances are, if you have a brand new website and you're not Facebook and you're not being indexed by Google on like a minute by minute basis, because we're not that awesome yet, the chances are they're going to probably look at a site like Apartment Guide, like Rent.com, or Craigslist before they look at you, which gives them the credit. So one of the things I do tell people, right, is place the content on your website first. Then, do you see this little, it's hard to see, there's a little arrow next to the URL. If I click on the little arrow, it's right here. If I click down on it, it says cached. If I open this up, Google will tell me the last time that it looked at my homepage. So I will know when Google actually indexed the copy I placed on the site. And once I see that it has been indexed with the content, then I will go and publish it to other sites. So that's a little trick.
So talk about what you do though, how are we going to fix this? Since this one's it's already wrong. It already happened in the wrong order. Facebook might have went up before we could get the website launched.
Yeah.
They grabbed that first. Now they don't think that our copy, that was the same copy we wanted. We wanted to be the same voice, the same sound, the same copy. But how do we fix this now? So that we now have original content and not copied plagiarized content.
You need to go write original content. So basically, at this point, he would go rewrite the content from scratch and place it on the homepage and leave it there until it gets cached before he does anything else with it.
Right. So we're going to take the homepage and we're going to take that romance paragraph and we're going to tweak it. We're going to change it. It'd be a great opportunity for us to get our SEO partner involved and have them do the SEO optimization of that piece.
Yeah.
Then you stick it on there.
Yep.
It still sounds the same because we're just adjusting it, we're tweaking it, we're fixing it. So there's no issue with, you're not going to have an owner come to you and say, why does it sound completely different here and here and here? You keep the same voice, but because it's fresh and because it's changed and you put it on your website and then you wait, then all of a sudden that's yours. It belongs to you. That's original content and you're the winner.
Yep. And here it even tells me in the cache, the last time that the homepage was looked at was May 4th. So let's say I change the content today. Still can't touch it until I see that Google's indexed it. So just watch that to see when Google actually looks at it. A way to accelerate Google actually looking at your homepage is I just usually resubmit my sitemap. So if you have access to Google Webmaster Tools, you would resubmit the sitemap prompting Google to go recache and reindex the site, and that would usually pick it up a little bit faster too. Okay, so I think that's everything on the home page that I would like to look at. And then I would go through different pages just to make sure that every page had some unique content. So there's 2 duplicate content penalties. There's you stealing somebody else's content or you having multiple pages on the website with the same content, same penalty. So don't do that, have original content on every page. So I would check for that and do kind of the same process I just did now. Okay. Let's go back here. So I covered mobile friendly. It's a good enough speed. It's crawlable, NAP, reviews, hours, pricing, those are things. Oh, okay, keyword research. We do have paid subscriptions to things like Moz, but I'm gonna show you some tricks to do it free. So I'm gonna give you a little bit of Property Solutions SEO secret sauce, okay? Okay, so first things first is, of course, everybody uses Google AdWords Planner to get, search traffic and numbers right from the AdWords. You can do that. That's definitely something that you can do. We also will do, well, I'll just show you. So let me go. So a couple things I look at is I'll go to google.com directly, and this is in Golden.
Golden, Colorado.
Okay, so apartments in Golden, Colorado, right? CO. Okay, so here's a couple things. This is called Google Instant. This is where Google is going to suggest things to me because of people typing in stuff in the last 30 days. It's really fresh. So here, apartments in Golden, Craigslist, right? Near CSM, well, it's Colorado Summit View. So for example, if in the process of working with a client, they didn't supply me maybe local attractions, I could still probably catch it this way. So that's something that we do as in-house and try to make it custom for each of our clients. But it would be a miss for me not to talk about how, I don't know, is this property even close to Colorado Summit View?
Fortunately, I should know that. I just moved from Denver. I'm not sure.
Okay, but that would be something that we could even bring attention to the client or bring attention, right, to the representative of the property and say, hey, if this is a feature, Google's taking note of it, and because their users are saying that Google, right, that they're actually typing this in. The other thing we'll do is I'll go down to the bottom, and these are also related searches. So I will look at these big time. These are something of the words that I will add to the keyword research. The other thing,
I have a little thing to add to that too, which is
Yeah.
really important, a concept to just kind of understand, because I think a lot of us have conversations with clients, with operations team members, with some of us might be operations team members, but whoever we're discussing our websites with, and they want to use certain keywords, they want to use certain phrases.
Yep.
There are ideas that they think make sense for the community, they may live in the community, but we need to be able to talk to them about why we might not want to do that,
Yeah.
why we may want to enhance that. And this is a good thing just to note. Like if somebody ever gives you a set of keywords, they're like, you have to talk about this, and you're working with an SEO professional, an SEO team, and they come back and they're like, no, you actually have to talk about this.
Yeah.
This is some of the reasoning as to why we choose those, because people are really doing it. People
Yep.
are really searching these things. We know it's happening.
Yep.
Now, we think this is the right word for us to use because we think it makes sense in the community. We know for a fact that it's happening.
Yep.
So it's a great note to make when you're discussing keywords and discussing why you're choosing a specific strategy, even when it may not fully match the direction you were originally given by someone.
Perfect. That's a really good tip, actually. Yeah, and in those cases, we usually just do both. We'll do ours, and we'll do whatever, of
Make everybody
course.
happy.
Yeah. we
Make
try.
Google happy, make the client happy, make everybody happy.
Customer's always happy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. The other thing that I'll do is Google Trends. I like Google Trends a ton. I use this quite a bit, actually. And so this is how, this is actually the reason where we caught, instead of people typing in apartments completely spelled out, it was APTS. It was abbreviation. Those were some of the breakout keywords. So if you type in anything in here, right, so apartments for rent, and type it in search. So this is another tool that I would jot down is Google Trends. You can basically change it, right? Worldwide, U.S., country. You can do the time zone, right, or time zone, the years, if it's going to want to work. Okay. So it will show interest over time. So clearly the apartment industry isn't going anywhere. So thank goodness for all of us. We keep our jobs, so that's good. But if you go down, it's interest over time. It will show you regions, of course, but then it will also show you the queries on the right. So apartments for rent, homes, houses, right? And then it also will show you breakouts. So if you click on rising, it will show you things that are in the last 30 days that they're seeing trends in as well. So like I said, this is where we find things like APTS or other words that you don't find in Google AdWords Planner. Okay? All right, so let's go into, we did content, Google Plus, making sure that you have your reviews on the site. That's also a good thing. Now let's dive into off-page SEO, which is also known as links. And I'm going to say this. In our space, in the apartment world, and I've done tons of link building for other clients, but in the apartment space, this is not as crucial as it used to be. What I mean by that is 2-3 years ago, you could get away with doing article submissions and guest blogging or commenting on blogs and linking to the URL. That's over. Press releases, over, right? Anytime that Google starts giving credit to something and then Google spam team catches on that it's being abused, they'll just cut it out of the equation.
Yep.
It's over. So we don't do this, of course, but in the event that you inherit a property and you might have suspicions that they might have done link building in the past, that is a real opportunity for you to actually have an anchor in your SEO program. So here's some of the signs that I usually listen for when talking. Quote, we worked with an SEO company. Anytime that I hear something that's worked with somebody before, I will instantly do a check at the back. Like I will always look at their links. One day my traffic tanked, which makes me think, oh, did they get penalized by Google for what? I see traffic in India coming in my Google Analytics, or the Philippines, or or Singapore, which is very common outsourced locations for link building. And then I see a ton of spam reviews on my site, so I got a lot of attention from foreign sites. So, I don't know, has this happened to you before, that you've caught anything?
We don't tend to run into anything that's too major. A lot of our stuff tends to be relatively genuine.
Good.
So
I'm going to give you a couple resources. If in the event that you hear this, these are free, linkdelete.com. So that's the first one I'm going to go to. Let me go back and grab.
You know, while you're pulling it up,
Yep.
so talking a little bit of like kind of the theory behind why this is going on. You know, SEO has evolved so much. Like in the past, Google's algorithm was simple enough that you literally could just go out and like throw links on things. You could do stuff, and it's really important. I like to try whenever I'm talking with people to drop a few phrases that you can use to kind of help it stick in your brain. And
Oh, good.
one of the things that I started doing was talking about the fact that you want to earn authentic links. You don't want to have a link strategy. You don't want to get links. You don't want to go out and do it because Google can tell. Google's smarter than all of us because they've got all of the Google smart people all in the same building. So that collective brain power explodes. And so they can tell when you're cheating. They can tell when you put a fake review on something and link to something.
Yeah.
They have algorithms that understand human language in that fashion. So it's really important because linking was such a big deal for so many years. Link structures, link strategies, all of this different stuff. And it's changed because they got smart enough to cut out all the crap, basically.
Yep.
And so we start talking about it in a different language, earning authentic links, which means you really did something and the Chamber of Commerce website is linking to you because you're brand new and they're excited about you. That's real life, and that's why it's happening, as opposed to you're doing it so that you show up in Google. Totally different. Just shifting mindsets about the overall thing.
So Link Delete, it is a paid service, but fortunately, as of right now, I can actually do a check for free. So I plug in the URL. I'm not sure. I skip this so you can't start sending me sales stuff. And I have 4 toxic backlinks, which pretty much means nothing's been done. So this client doesn't have an issue, but I have worked with properties and I've actually, okay, good example, a local insurance company. When I did this, they had 1,500 toxic backlinks. If I didn't address this, we could not do anything moving forward because literally 3/4 of their links were just complete garbage. So either you pay a subscription like this to clean it up for you, or you go through tools like Majestic. That's another one that I like a lot. Ahrefs is another one, but I like Majestic. It's probably my favorite. And the Majestics, you can enter in the domain and it will tell you actually what those links are. And then you can do a disavow file and submit it to Google Webmaster Tools and try to clean it up in the process.
So what is a disavow file?
Google Webmaster Tools is, analytics is tracking user behavior. Webmaster Tools is basically looking at a website's code and saying what's wrong with it. And part of one of the functionalities of Webmaster Tools, which is free, is that you can tell Google, hey, these links are linking to me and they're garbage. Please don't let them hurt me, is basically what it is.
Like, say I didn't do this isn't my fault. I don't want these to be a real
And that's
thing
legitimate.
anymore.
I've had clients attacked by their competitors where like they'll start sending them casino links or bad links. I had one client that had terrorist. So if you went to the link, I got a Trojan virus on my computer and I went to the link and it was a terrorist site. So I've seen some stuff.
It's getting hacked.
It's not really that bad here, but you know, if you suspected it, here's a tool that you could do.
And while you're doing that too, okay, so this website, well, like we said, it's brand new. There are only 4 links that are questionable on it. What do you think is more realistic for, say, a property that we've just inherited that's had a website running for the last 3 years and we just took over management? One of the questions I get more often than anything is when we're looking at metrics, people need to understand, wait, what are the benchmarks? Where do they sit? So 1,500 is real bad. 4 is like literally nothing because they're brand new. What's that threshold? Or like that, I always say, what's that range? Because there's no line. There's no.
Depends. Are they having performance issues? Are they not? If I can tell that they're having performance issues, then you can't really move forward with, without taking care of it. But if you see a couple hundred, I would.
That's where you get worried?
I get nervous with that. Yeah,
Okay.
I do.
But if you see like 40 of them?
Yeah, because not all of them are considered toxic. It's just, So no. And like I said, in the apartment space, it's not nearly as bad. But in the event you have worked with a vendor that has outsourced, you're going to instantaneously want to look at that. So, okay. Even though we don't focus on link building, like, kind of like spamming the ecosystem on the web, we do definitely do directories. That is a must-have for any local SEO strategy, is making sure that your NAP, your name, address, phone number, is listed across the web. So Bing, Yahoo, Yelp, Facebook, Google+, Foursquare, the list goes on and on and on, right? And okay, so I'm going to give you a free tool to look at this. And I don't know if has anybody heard of Moz? I love Moz. Moz has it's a paid subscription, right? Moz Local, you can submit your property for like $84. We don't use this in-house just because it has some issues too, but you can at least check your directory footprint.